Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a while. Welcome to Good Talks with Bad Moms. And today I have with me Lisa Cusack. Did I pronounce your last name right?
You did.
Great. Awesome. I have Lisa Cusack. She's in the 44th District as a GOP Central Committee. Oh, my goodness.
I can explain what that
Please
is
do.
because nobody knows.
Please do. Please explain. Introduce yourself, please.
Yes. So every assembly district has a central committee for both political parties. And I'm on the Republican Central Committee, and it's 7 elected people, and you endorse the candidates. But I ran because the LA GOP is trying to make these central committees more active in helping get the candidates elected.
Okay.
So that's what I'm here for. I'm here to get Republican candidates elected.
Amazing. And we do need all the help we can get.
We do.
Considering that California is actually a red state,
Yeah.
with the amount of Christians that live in California, like you'd be surprised.
We can win elections if Republicans vote.
Yeah.
I mean, the last Glendale city election, 30% of Democrats voted, 50% of Republicans voted. They outnumber us, but if 70 to 80% of Republicans voted, we would win the elections. And yes, that's high turnout, but it's not impossible. And we just need to get out and vote. And so why I ran for this and what I've been doing is attempting to build and get out the vote infrastructure.
Okay.
So precinct work, getting volunteers. And at the moment, there's just really nothing. We don't have lists of volunteers. We don't have money. We need to fundraise.
Why don't people care?
Oh, I do think California Republicans have been discouraged. They shouldn't be, but I think they've just accepted the narrative that we're going to lose. We always lose. And I think that the party, there's been some inter-party drama. Going back a ways, the California GOP used the LA GOP as just kind of like an ATM. They would just take their money and send it to races that were winnable. And that sort of devastated the LA GOP. It's out of money. And there was a big donor that died. There was infighting. There was somebody on the payroll that ended up getting them into debt. So there's a lot that's just kind of devastated the party. So there's no mechanism for getting people out. It was poorly run for a while. And it's just like been this cycle where voters are feeling discouraged, and then we lose everything because there's nobody there, because there's no infrastructure, and then voters feel discouraged.
So it's a abyss. It's like a loop into the abyss every time.
Yes. And what I notice is it's like everybody will get hysterical around election time, and you know, a handful of people work really hard, and then we just lose. We lose every time. We need to start making steps forward. We need to start keeping the money, keeping the volunteers, building an infrastructure so that we can get things on a schedule, get things planned, be prepared, recruit good candidates. And, you know, obviously the better chance you have of winning, the better, candidate you have. This is where voter registration comes in. A lot of people, there's I think the biggest voter registration in California is no party preference. If you are no party preference, you should register with the party you vote for, hopefully Republican, because the way the party determines sort of where to give their resources is how many people are registered with their party. So they look and they say, well, you're a plus 32D district, you have 32% more Democrats. They're not going to really give that district resources. But if you're a plus 12D, then that's actually winnable. They consider that winnable for Republican, and then you will get more help.
Isn't the data kind of skewed because it's only counting people who actually go out and are active with it. So to not put in money in a specific district just means that we're leaving everyone dormant who thinks that it's a majority district of, for example, Democrats. So we're not even trying to flip any district either. We're not trying to flip anything. We're not putting money into ones to create interest in it. So today it's predominantly Democrat, but who's to say tomorrow it won't change? So yes, you're right. The money's mismanaged, and the idea of marketing to different places is not even being thought of, and that's why nothing is growing.
Yes, I agree. I think there's not a growth mentality.
Yeah.
But I think it is kind of incumbent on the local assembly districts to get the ball rolling. And that's what I'm hoping to do. I'm hoping to get the ball rolling to have something like, we we're increasing our voter registration. We're building precincts. And then hopefully bring in some money. I mean, we have to start with money from our district. But like, let's say again, in the city of Glendale specifically, no party preference voters lean Republican. So not only could
They're just being lukewarm about it.
Yes. Not only could we win races if 80% of the Republicans turned out, 70 to 80% of the Republicans turned out, we could win races. But also it's winnable because you can win the no party preference voters. I mean, if you look around Glendale and you see how many Alex Bleckian signs there are, right? I mean, look, Republicans can win here. We just have to get smarter and we have to build an infrastructure that doesn't disappear after every race. And that's kind of what's been happening. You know, candidate runs the race, they lose, and everybody just goes home.
We don't have any bylaws. We don't have any things we're following. Like one party or one group of people I feel like I reference a lot are the PTA. The PTA, strictly volunteer program, but it's run so smoothly. Its accounting is done so properly. People want to be there to participate because it involves our children. So that's one thing that I'm having trouble with is why don't 70, 80% of Republicans step out to vote, knowing what evil is lurking within the confines of the Democratic and left parties?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I love your observation about the PTA because one of the things I've been thinking recently is like I need to get the election schedule like on a school calendar.
Yes.
I actually thought in terms of school calendar.
Yeah.
I was like, I need stickers and because
It'll help.
and the great thing about the PTA is it's also a social group. And that's another thing I think is it needs to be a little more fun, a little more social.
Like a Tupperware party.
Like a Tupperware party. Yeah. And that's essentially what precincts are, right? So it's one person that's responsible for their neighbor's vote. So let's say I'm going to be responsible for 100 of my closest Republican neighbors. And I've walked for multiple candidates. And so I walked the other day and my neighbor's like, hi, I know you, but that's what I want. I want them to recognize me. They open the door. They're like, oh, it's you, and then they will trust you and they'll vote and you can give them your voter guide. And so that's one leg of it. But I also think, I think the PTA is a great example of like getting people to understand how it concerns them locally. To go back to Glendale again, the two issues right now are the bike lanes that everybody hates and the raising electricity rates. They've been raised twice in the last 6 months, and they're planning, I think they want to raise them again in the summer.
Thievery.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
And it's completely unnecessary. I think there was even the LA Times wrote an article that Glendale is putting the money from the electricity bills into their general fund, which they're not even allowed to do, but they're doing. So it is thievery. But those two issues are really driving people out, and they're making people realize, oh, this is going to affect me personally.
But I hate that people are leaving. This is the problem in the first place.
Yeah.
People who left California who were staunch Republicans, you abandoned post. I'm so sorry. Like, you're abandoning post and then bragging about it in another state that you abandoned your post.
It is really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're waiting for us. Oh, you're watching from the sideline what's going to happen to California. No, we're going to stay here. We're going to fight. We're going to make sure that we flip whatever we need to flip. Personally, Republican, Democrat, those are all just labels to me. What are we doing under the confines of what God wants us to do? And what are we aligning with? If I used to be, I say this every episode, I used to be a Democrat, feminist, liberal, atheist.
You've been delivered.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm just saying, like, the labels can be changed at any time once you understand which team you're fighting on and who you're fighting for and what you're fighting against. And it doesn't matter. You can call me a liberal. You can call me a extremist. You can call me whatever you want to call me. It's like, I'm only here for the kids.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that has woken a lot of people up. But we need to wake more up. But you're absolutely right. And actually, I've even been helping a Democrat, but she's a Christian and she's a moderate.
Yeah.
And she's over just in the next assembly district, which is like Eagle Rock. And she's been working on something and she's been helping me. And so I agree. I don't think the labels have to lock you in. And she can't stand what's happening with the Progressive Party. And she wants to come back to some middle ground, which is great. I mean, I'm a Republican. I'm here for Republicans. But if there's going to be sane Democrats that are joining us, wonderful.
100%. What is our policy? What are we doing together? Ultimately, we have to recognize who's winning and who's losing, and the people are never winning. The people are never winning.
No. It's an iron triangle of special interests of the politicians and the environmentalists and the unions, and everybody pays for their whatever projects they want on our credit card. And we're on the dime. And, you know, to go back to you talking about people leaving, I understand the appeal of it, but what happens in California does not stay in California.
Exactly.
And we export all of our policies. And so there's sort of this idea of like, oh, just let California burn. It's not going to work that way. The fire is going to spread. You know.
That's what they don't recognize. Exactly. They're trying to get out so they don't get burned, but it's going to follow you. It's like if you if you poke a tumor, cancerous tumor, poke it enough times, it's going to spread into the rest of the body. And leaving it alone doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go away either.
Exactly. No, and California is a tumor.
Yeah.
On the body politic. But no, it's if we change the fight here, we change the country. And here in LA, because only LA and San Francisco vote Democrat, I mean, the rest of the state is red. I mean, LA really is the belly of the beast. If we change the fight here, we change the direction of the country. We have the media, we have the entertainment industries. And so sometimes I ask myself, like, you know, why am I here? It's so hard. I feel like I have to fight for my kids' education. I have to literally fight City Hall. Everything's a fight, and it seems like it'd be so easy to just move. But this is where the fight is. So this is where God has me right now.
I think our apathy, and that's because of ignorance. And when I say I'm talking per the masses, because we are still part of the masses. So our apathy, no matter how awake we thought we were, and our ignorance to what was going on at local politics. You said you were always a Republican, Christian, I'm assuming. You stayed in your lane, you did your thing, you didn't bother anyone, but also you were not involved in politics. Neither was I. I was staying in my lane, you know, doing my own thing, even though I was on the opposite side of where you stood as far as labels go. I didn't participate in local government, local politics, school boards. And that's why, and our parents didn't either, by the way.
Yeah, right.
So this is not an overnight thing that happened, that they just released the policy to us. This has been happening for the last 20, 30 years, I want to say, whatever's been happening. And thanks to our ignorance of what's happening, we now have to stand here and fight everything because they've advanced on us.
Yes.
On all fronts.
We're so far behind.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. There was this idea that it just, you could just let California get as liberal as like it was going to go. And then, like you said, you just stay in your lane and they'll leave you alone. And I do think 2020 changed a lot of people's opinions about that. Is 2020 when you switched?
100%. Okay. Completely switched was 2022.
Okay.
But 2020 was when I decided I need to take action. It's when I started doing Instagram Lives and just talking to people about things, you know, personal excellence, personal development, not complying, not just giving ideas about, hey, you have autonomy and you have independence.
Right.
To an extent, you know.
Right.
Because I didn't know God then either. I was still an atheist until 2020, until I understood the whole journey from 2020 to 2022. That's when I was like, okay, I'm on God's team. I don't know if I agree with any of these things. I don't. So everything's looking more bright and shiny on God's team.
You know what's so interesting is I know many people that came to the Lord through the experience of 2020 and just seeing the darkness, and then it led them into conservative thinking, and then it opened their eyes to God. I think that's wonderful. And one of the things sometimes you hear from Christians is that I don't want to be involved in politics. It's dirty. But I've seen so many people come to the Lord through politics. And I think, people like you and I, we see it as a ministry of this is how we can actually show people that, yes, we need God, society needs God, and we're not functioning very well without him.
So with that said, we should be promoting more faithful people in politics because it's the faithless who have gone amok.
Yes. Yeah, because you don't have a compass. You know, I mean, you could just get, you know, I mean, like it's a line, right? I mean, if you deviate just by 1 inch, you start in the wrong direction. You end up, you know, you can go awry for eternity. And I think that's where we are. It's, you know, it seemed harmless at the time. It was just a single deviation and just a little bit further. But look where it's landed us.
Oh, yeah. It's still taking us. Mm-hmm. I feel like we're being pushed closer to the end of the cliff, even though like we're trying with all our might to stop the force. But maybe we allow it to push us in and then take it from there. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, we never know God's plan.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Yeah, and we just do what we think is best at the time and then trust that God knows. I mean, I do think about this a lot. The darkness of 2020 did lead so many people to wake up politically, but also to come to God. And I mean, I was one of the crazy people that from day one was saying, this is a communist revolution.
Yes.
Even my husband thought I was crazy. And
Oh
I was
my
like,
God.
I know there's a real virus, but also it's a communist revolution. And so I just was so distraught through the whole time. It was very dark. And then now I see so much good came out of it. So we have to remember that going into this election. I'm already getting the election jitters. But, you know.
Let's talk about that a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah, what are your thoughts on it? Like, you obviously are going to vote for Donald Trump.
Of course.
I'm voting
I
for
voted.
Donald Trump.
Yep.
It's the brainless thing to, not the brainless thing to do would be voting for Harris.
Right.
But it's a no-brainer is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
This is a no-brainer.
Yes, agreed. I mean, there's such a difference in the two tickets. I mean, the world is on fire. We're on the cusp of World War III, if we're not already. Under Trump was the first president that we had. He did not start a foreign war. First president since Reagan who didn't start a foreign war. We had peace. We had 18 months where not a single military member died. I mean, the economic policies were so much better. People were doing really well. I mean, the middle class made gains under Trump that they hadn't made in decades.
Right.
And they've lost all of that ground. I mean, the border was relatively secure. The cities were trending safer. Life is just so much better under Trump. And it's funny, I remember telling a friend who voted for Biden, and I said, people are not going to like this as much as they think they are. You know, they've been living their best life under Trump. And of course, she was really wrapped up in the media drama and the mean tweets. But it has not gone well. And I'm afraid that it would be even worse under Harris.
I don't even think, to be honest with you, the Democrat or the current presidency right now is even who they are.
No. They're
You
just
know?
a figurehead.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even seem like they're making any bones about it
No.
now.
And
Which
where's
is scary.
Biden? Where's Biden?
Yeah, who has the nuclear codes?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's scary because the thing that separates a military dictatorship from a citizen democracy is that in a citizen democracy, the citizens elect the officials who control the military. Who's over the military right now?
Right.
I mean, when Mark Milley, you know, made decisions around Trump and promised to tell his counterpart in China if Trump was going to do anything. And I mean, already we have military brass sort of doing a somewhat coup. I mean, who has the military codes or the nuclear codes? Who's controlling the military? I mean, the president is a real job. It does matter. And somehow they're acting like it just doesn't matter.
They know for us it doesn't matter. So they double down on, again, our ignorance. And they know that we're not going to do anything about it. They are so transparent with everything that they do. And they know that the people won't do anything about it.
Yeah. Did you ever read 1984? No, I'm sorry, not 1984. Brave New World.
No, I have not.
You should definitely read that. The story of Brave New World is they're created in a lab, so they don't have families, and they're just kind of force-fed on promiscuous sex and drugs, and it distracts them and addles their brain, and they can't question the government that controls their lives. And that's where I feel like we are. We're in a soft tyranny where our brains are addled on social media.
And the worst part is that they've included children.
Yes.
You know, like, yeah. It's,
which they do in
which
the
they
book.
do in the book.
They sexualize children
Yeah.
in the book. Isn't that interesting that was already seen as a tactic of tyranny?
But then this isn't something new. So, you know, promiscuity has always been a factor of controlling people.
Yes. Yeah, people think that it's personal liberation.
Yeah,
But
no.
actually it opens you up for addiction and weakness and dependency.
Many demons. Many demons. I don't know if anyone's ever tried to be celibate, but there's a whole world of energy when you're actually celibate, especially after like you know what it's like to be intimate. Becoming celibate is a different story, and they're consciously doing it. Like you get closer to God because then you understand more of your purpose and your mission. It's not just a flesh pleasure.
It's kind of fasting.
Yeah, it's a fasting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like when more people understand the power of celibacy, they'll shelf the promiscuity. But because people are away from God,
Yeah.
they're not practicing what God wants us to practice, because we're just supposed to have sex to reproduce. Really.
Yes. Well, yeah, and in marriage.
In marriage, yeah.
But I just read something interesting that there was a poll recently that a majority of young people wanted fewer sex scenes in movies.
Yeah.
So I don't think people want Jane Austen. They don't want every other scene to be a sex scene. I think they want that romance. And it goes back to you're talking about how women are angry when we don't feel loved properly.
Yes.
Women are not feeling loved and men are not feeling respected.
Exactly.
And you can see the anger in people because of that.
And yeah, we were talking about this before the show started, how Jesse Lee Peterson has actually introduced me to that idea about women being evil and angry because they're not loved the way they want to be loved, and they're transferring that to their children, which is, you can see it happening with the transgender movement, how moms are encouraging their sons to transition. And I think that is because they hate themselves, really. The moms.
Yeah, or hate their husbands.
Hate their husbands, hate themselves, hate their fathers, hate the man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted to come up with a tactic to destroy society, driving a wedge between men and women would be like right up there as the most effective tactic.
I was always like, oh, I'm the woman. I can make decisions for which we can, of course. Like we're supposed to make decisions for ourselves.
Right.
But there is a hierarchy that we are not taught, where it's God, man, woman, child.
Right.
And we're not respecting that hierarchy. It exists whether we like it or not.
Right. And I mean, I don't know if you've heard Tim Keller's sort of complementarian view of this.
No.
But how, it's like the woman's role is sort of like Christ, in that it's an accepted, like God the Father and Christ are equal, but Christ accepted a role of, I do the will of the Father, and I don't mean
servant.
Yes, with a servant's heart.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's a quality, but I mean, you would want your husband to come at it with a servant's heart too.
Yeah,
I mean, you serve each other, and that's how it's.
Women have it mixed up because of feminism.
Yes.
Feminism has made women more confused about womanhood, and that is why they ask questions like, "What is a woman?"
I know.
Like, what do you mean? You don't know?
Well, they know when they want you to vote for a woman.
Yeah.
They, then I'm with her, and well, who's her? What are your pronouns? I mean, suddenly they know what a woman is, and then they go back to forgetting what a woman is.
According to them, everyone's a woman.
Right. So then you could stand with Trump. I mean, I mean, it makes no sense. I don't even know how they reconcile it. Maybe there's a lot of cognitive dissonance.
Not maybe, for sure. I mean, for a long time in the DSM, it was written that it's a mental disorder.
True.
And even if they take that out because of pressure and what's the word I'm looking for? Just because of pressure.
Yeah.
Because they want to change the wording, they want to change definitions. So if they want to take that out, that still doesn't make you less insane.
What sucked you into liberalism? Were you born?
No. Well, okay. I grew up here. I went to public school.
Okay.
I went to UCLA.
Oh, I did too.
Oh, nice.
What did you major in?
History.
Okay, English lit.
I wanted to go to law school, but then that all changed.
I thought about that for a minute too.
I was too much of a feminist to work for the man. No, but liberalism, it was just naturally just happened to me.
Okay.
Because my mom was very liberal as well.
Okay.
Even though we're an Armenian household, she was very liberal and worked a lot. She always encouraged that I work. She always encouraged that I
that's a big deal.
Make my own money. She never told me like, oh, be someone's wife and raise kids, and I can't wait to see my grandkids. She would, she wouldn't encourage it. And so to me, it was like, oh, I got to be like my mom. God rest her soul and bless her.
Yeah.
She did the best she could, with what she had. But it was her own traumas telling me what to do.
Yeah.
But as a woman now with a daughter, I will definitely be more encouraging of the mom life.
I really encourage that.
Yeah.
I always tell my, girls are very nurturing, and my daughter loves baby dolls, and and I always tell her, you're going to make a great mom, and I always say, like, you're my girl, you're my daughter, to encourage her, that this is what you are, and you're going to grow up and be a great mom one day. And we have to, because the culture is working so much against it. I think you have to feed it into them.
You have to, and it's they want indoctrination. It doesn't have to be a bad thing, right? But when it's being done covertly, when it's being done against the will of the parent, when it's being
and by
done
people who
against
don't
the
care
interest,
about the children.
Exactly. Demons, to be honest with you.
I mean, they shut down the schools for a year and a half, and they said it was, in-person learning wasn't essential, and they put moms through hell with their kids learning, online or homeschooling them, stuck at home with the kids. And then this minute they get back to school, they're like, "Oh, we're not going to tell you if your child wants to transgender because they're not safe at home with you." I mean, so
demonic.
It's completely illogical, completely incomprehensible, and they clearly do not care about the children.
My kid at that time, he was in public school. He went back after maybe like a couple months of just constantly arguing about the mask situation.
Okay, yeah.
I wrote an email to the teacher. The next day, they revoked my permit because I couldn't go to that school anymore. They revoked my permit.
Oh, my goodness.
Like literally overnight, they pulled us out of the school. And I was a PTA president, parliamentarian, treasurer.
Because you complained about the masks?
Because I said, hey, don't harass my child about the mask. If he wants to wear it, he'll wear it. If he doesn't want to wear it, continue teaching as planned.
And they revoked your permit?
They revoked my permit.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, but it's okay because then it was a God's blessing. I took my son to a learning center with other children, homeschool children, and we created a school together. And now we have 50 kids in the pod.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think pods are the future of education.
Oh, for sure. And that's why we're doing the CEO Act. We're pushing for the CEO Act. I don't know if you know about it.
No.
Children's Educational Opportunity Act, which will allow $17,000 per child through an ESA savings account, educational savings account that already exists, that already public schools are taking advantage of when we enroll our kids to the public school system.
Oh.
When they're actually performing at a 20%, 30% efficacy.
Yeah.
If any company was performing at that rate, they'd immediately be bankrupted or...
California has the lowest literacy rate. And we spend,
exactly.
I think, the most on schools, or very close to the highest.
Department of Education, this is what I liked about when Trump said he's going to eradicate it, because the biggest mafia is the Department of Education.
It is. And they're so radical.
They are, very.
Do you remember when the horrible group was mocking the nuns and Jesus at the Dodgers? And remember they pulled them because it was so controversial, and then it was
Which, by the way, they came back. They were invited back this last games.
Well, the teachers union pushed to have them back.
Demonic.
Yeah.
Demonic.
Yeah.
It literally, they want to say, we are actively against your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Yes.
And this is how we're going to show you that we're actively against your beliefs.
Yes.
By inviting your enemies to our environments.
Yes.
That you send your children to.
Yes. And we keep having to fund them.
No, we don't got to keep having to fund them. We do it because we're ignorant.
Yeah, right.
They threw over boxes and boxes of tea into the harbor. And of course, this might be a story. I wasn't there to corroborate the story. But the idea is, hey, if someone's screwing you and that someone is your government that you created to serve you, then you need to throw those boxes of tea overboard immediately, not keep sending them tariff.
I agree. It's hard to get parents to wake up about their public schools. I found this to be one of the hardest things. And I think it's because it's so difficult to take your kid out of the local public school. I mean, I commute far for my kids' education, and it's hard. And I wish I had that life where I could walk to school, and we pay a lot of money for it. So I find it very hard to wake up parents. What has your experience been?
It's, to be honest with you, they hate it when I say it, but it's laziness from their end.
Yeah, that's what I found too.
I pulled my kid out immediately.
Yeah, they don't want to look at it. Yeah. And that's like the place where I find it almost the hardest to get through to people.
They say, oh, it's fine. My kid's handling it. Keep sending him to the belly of the beast. I don't know.
They may be handling it, but what are they being exposed to?
Yeah. We're under a church.
That's wonderful.
Building. We're in a church. We're praying every day. Yeah. And even though we've pulled them out and they're doing godly things, they're still exposed to certain things that I as a parent don't want my sons to be exposed to, because they're kids, they're talking amongst themselves. But that's different when they're in an environment of kids.
Right.
Versus an adult coming in and like grooming.
Right.
It's gross.
Oh, totally. And there's difference with hearing it from a peer and hearing it from an authority figure. And, you know, they love their teachers. They really respect them. I mean, they'll listen to what the teachers say over the parents. And so you have to get good teachers. I mean, they're in locus parentis. I mean, they are the parent of the moment. And you have to have people whose values you align with. Otherwise, who are you sending your kids to be with 8 hours a day?
Exactly. And I'm not trying to have my kid be a brainiac genius brain surgeon today.
Yeah.
I don't even have those expectations of my kids anymore. Like, if my kid wants to be a chef, oh my God.
My oldest actually does want to be a chef.
It has nothing to do with public education anymore. Like, let's help our children follow their passion.
Yeah.
Let's not do the cookie cutter thing anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I do think there are some moms who are waking up to that, which I love.
Yeah.
You know, and be like, I don't even know if I want my child to go to college, you know?
I tell my kid all the time.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about going to college. Go to college if you want to do something specific.
Right.
But you don't have to. Figure out a trade. Because I realize that life is better spent earning a healthy income, having healthy relationships, having the time to spend it with your family, having children. Like, I feel like that's just really what life is about. And anything else you do on the side, it's just a plus. It's an addition. Like, this is a treat.
Yes.
You know?
Agreed. Yes.
So speaking of which, moms in politics.
Yes.
You being a mom of 3 wonderful children, how is that the balancing life? Because you are already serving in politics.
Yes. So this is new. So I was a teacher, actually. I was in education for over 10 years. And then I stopped working completely for the last 11 years to raise my 3 kids. And I think God just led me back. Initially, I didn't even know what Central Committee was until I was recruited for it. Initially, I said no. I've got the 3 kids. And then for a variety of reasons, I decided to jump in. I didn't really know what to expect. I was told, oh, it's an easy job, just a couple meetings a month. And then I got there and I realized, oh my gosh, there's so much wrong. There's so much that needs to be done. And so I'm actually not even officially, like I'm elected, but I'll be officially sworn in January. And so this has been so from March to January has been a great learning curve for me of having to find that balance, because I promised myself that my family life would not suffer. My husband has been a saint, but it is adding a new thing to my life. I mean, my youngest has just turned 5 and she's just started kindergarten. And so I think it was like God worked it out, because I could not have done it before. But I was ready too. I felt mentally ready for a new chapter. This is an unpaid job, so it's volunteer work. So I don't really do any volunteer work for my kids' school, or I just do the little bit that I can. This is kind of the volunteer work that I do. Yeah. And so I am still working on finding that balance, but definitely my priority, is my faith and my family. And then, but I got into it. I think I had mentioned to you, I jumped into local politics in 2021. So we moved from LA City to Glendale in 2021. We fled LA City because of the riots, and the city had just let the homelessness proliferate. And my neighbor had a homeless woman poop on his lawn in the middle of the day. We were starting to have thefts in our cars, and things were starting to get dangerous. And it'd gone from like one homeless person to an entire tent encampment.
Because they're bringing them in from other states.
Or they just, it's hard to even know. They seem to have, it seemed like they used COVID as an excuse to take them, like to put them in locations.
Yes.
I know they would put them in park facilities and YMCAs. And then, of course, with the idea of releasing them into the community, they let criminals out because of COVID. They put homeless into park facilities because of COVID, and then they locked children in their houses for over a year because of COVID, which makes a lot of sense. So we came to Glendale because it's an unincorporated city, and as of now, very well run. And so I really jumped in just volunteering on local campaigns, and I did it because of my family and my children. We went from having a neighborhood where I didn't want them to walk around to having a neighborhood where they can just go and take a walk, and I don't worry about them, and I don't worry about walking at night. And that's what I had growing up, and that's what I want for them. And we're at this place where I have to fight just for our basic safety. But right now we have a safe, clean city, and that's what I'm working for.
I lived in Glendale from 1990 until 2022.
Okay.
I fled Glendale.
Where are you now?
I went to LA in North Hills. It's like
Okay.
close to like Northridge and whatnot.
Okay. Yes, I know where that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't like the way that Glendale was actually running. Their schools, their
The schools are not good.
councils.
Yeah, and things are going in a wrong direction.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm working towards. I'm my short-term, my long-term, short-term goal is the Glendale local elections in 2025.
Okay.
And so that's what I'm working for. And I'm sorry, 2026. And so we've got a year, and that's what I'm attempting to build towards. And the school board right now is gone. It's the last 3 people elected to school boards are LAUSD union activists, and people get very angry at me when I tell them this, but Glendale is not an independent school district really anymore, because the majority of the board works for LAUSD and was elected by LAUSD, and LAUSD has taken it over. And the education is declining from everything I hear.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, it used to be I was just talking to an old Glendale school teacher the other day, actually, and she was talking about how good it used to be and how she just saw it declining and was glad she was not there. So, yeah, I mean, Glendale is also, unfortunately, being influenced by Los Angeles and not in a good direction.
More homelessness, I've noticed.
Yeah, I think it seems like after, the Supreme Court made the ruling that you can get them off the street, and then Newsom said, clean it up. And so then I have been hearing good things from the council and from the police department. The police chief in Glendale came from Culver City, where we were right next to there, because Culver flirted with defunding its police. They took away their honors program in the schools. They went totally woke over there. I think they stopped short of defunding the police, but they ended up losing their really good police chief. We got him.
Yeah. Glendale's a very conservative city. This really weirds me out how swiftly everything changed.
Well, it's majority Democrat, but again, if Republicans would vote, get out and vote, and then you can carve out, I believe I heard it was 70% of no party preference voters in Glendale lean right. So you can you can win elections. It's just that the Democrats have more of a machinery, and there are more Democrats, so it's easier for them to do it. And then what you have going on right now is we have a 2-3 split. We have 2 Republicans on the city council and 3 progressive Democrats, and they're just pushing everything through on a 3 vote, which I think is wrong. But
so then it's rigged, really. I
mean, once they grab power, they will do whatever they can to increase their power. Republicans are not as good as that at that. I think generally we look at it as when we have power, we want to reflect the will of the voters, which is what it's supposed to be. When they have power, they want to change the direction of things and force the
make
voters
it
to
more
come
obscure
along with them.
Yes.
Yeah, and increase their base of power.
Yeah,
which is tactically efficient. It's not good leadership, but it does
it's good
work.
leadership for them.
Yeah. They are very good at power. They're very good at getting and keeping power, which, ultimately it comes out of Marxism, and Marxism is a theory of power dynamics, and we aren't Marxists, so we have trouble thinking that way.
That's why people don't know. See, when I noticed the communism, it's because, I was familiar with communism. We come from, even though I was very small.
Where are your parents from?
Iran. They were born in Iran, but they moved to Armenia when they were 10, 12, something. And I was born in Armenia.
Okay.
But during the communist time, but we were still pretty Christian in the communist state. They didn't really bother Armenians too much about it.
Okay.
Especially when I was alive in Armenia.
Yeah.
Not back in the day. But when I saw the communism actually coming through at the school board meetings where they were sending even revolutionary communists there, I'm like, what are you doing here?
And Americans have a really hard time accepting that this is communism and this is Marxism.
Yeah.
They see that as somehow saying something extreme. But I mean, they say it themselves. They say it in schools all the time.
So we have a big job ahead of us, and that is to not necessarily awaken. I feel like the awakening time has not ended, but it's over right now. The awakening will happen again another time over. But right now we have to like implement whoever is awake. What are we doing together so that way we can promote more momentum towards it? Because yeah, you're awake, I'm awake, but like this is our first time talking to each other.
Yes.
You know, but we need to increase that amount of how frequently we talk to each other. You and Nune Gipson. Nune is a central committee.
I ran on a slate with Nune. So we ran on a Mama Bear slate with Nune and Elizabeth Barcohana on the West LA, and so I guess I love Nune.
I feel like you guys can work together.
Yes.
Even though you're different cities, you can work together.
Absolutely.
And that's what we need to do. I feel like people think, oh, there's one Republican running. No, let's make it 10 Republicans running against however many Democrats, and let's vote all of the. No, that won't work. Let's get the best Republicans in.
Yes.
Let's get the best people in who have our interests at heart.
Yes.
People's interests at heart, not the company's interests at heart. And let's do whatever you think is best to do. Like, let's keep a momentum going by creating.
Yes. And I feel like moms are good at that.
Yeah.
Because we have to do the boring stuff and like getting meetings together and starting groups and doing
Packing lunch.
Yes, low key fundraising and planning a calendar of like, okay, this summer we're going to show up with a voter registration booth at every event in the city. We have to do that kind of planning stuff that moms do for schools. And I totally agree. I think the time for sort of the more heady awakening is, again, not that it can't happen, but maybe that's not our focus.
Yeah, not right now.
Yes. And hopefully if Trump wins, that would be our hope. I mean, either way, we keep fighting. But if Trump wins, we've got 4 years, and we need to do the legwork. We need to put in the ground game.
I love it. And I'm looking at the time to kind of top off what you want to bring, what message you want to bring to people today watching, who are going to watch later. What do you want people to know about you, Lisa, in politics, and how we can actually be active together?
I think... I was a stay-at-home mom. I wasn't involved in politics. And I came to the conclusion in 2020 that somebody had to do something. And I guess that someone had to be me because I was the one obsessively reading articles and trying to figure out why this was happening. And so if I didn't do something, who would? And all I did was just get involved with a friend, Jordan Henry, running for a city council race. And I did little stuff like do videos for him and just go canvassing. I love knocking on doors. I just canvass for people. And just from there, it built, and I ended up running for this position. And here I am. I mean, I'm still starting from scratch, and it's still hard, but I'm in a place now where hopefully I can make change. And we can't do too much to affect the outcome of what happens in the country, but a few of us can really have an impact on what happens in our city. And I think that's where if everyone focused on their immediate location and their city, we would change the country.
Yes, it all starts locally.
Yes.
I 100% agree with you.
Yes.
Okay. So for those of you who are thinking, was my vote going to count? Yes, it's going to count. You know when it's not going to count? When you don't vote.
And yes, and remember, there are tens of billions of dollars on propositions on the ballot in California. So if you are somebody in California thinking, oh, it's a blue state, my vote doesn't count, your vote completely counts for races like Nate Hochman for DA and voting against all of the propositions except 34 and 36 is a yes. Everything else is a no. And it's very important because we've got some really bad ones on the ballot.
Yeah, you guys will do yourselves a service by finding voter guides. There's plenty of them. I think WiseNuts have it. GUSD Parents' Voices have it. SFE Republicans have it. Yes. So there's a bunch of people who are putting together these voter guides, and you would do yourself a service by checking them out, asking someone who's active in this in politics and voting. And just don't be lukewarm, you guys. That's the biggest message I have for everyone. Don't be lukewarm.
Yes.
Because when you are indecisive, there's somebody else deciding for you.
And you can't hide.
Yeah.
We have to stand and fight now. They're not going to let you live a quiet life. You have to stand and fight.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to live a quiet life. You're going to live a silenced life.
Yes.
All right? So you pick your hard. Yes. Is there anything you'd like to share as far as information about what you're doing or any upcoming events that you'd like people to know about?
You can follow me on Instagram at Lisa for Los Angeles. Just Lisa, 4 Los Angeles. And I post whatever I'm involved in there. And that's it. I mean, I'll be posting events, and I would love everyone to join me and come over here in Glendale and help us out.
If you're in Glendale, definitely check her out and be part of her committee. I think you guys do get some funding, right, to do certain events or certain things?
We do not have funding.
Oh, no funding.
We are working on funding. If you have funding, we would like to have some. No, that's one of the things we're working on. We are working on fundraising.
Okay.
But we have planned events, and they have been a lot of fun, actually, and there will be more to come on that.
Follow Lisa, everyone. Thank you so much, Lisa. This was a very awesome conversation. Free flow, smooth, amazing. I appreciate you, and I look forward to working with you.
Wonderful.
Future, yeah.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Please subscribe to Red Angeles Network on YouTube and all major platforms. I need to get the vocabulary right about certain things. Yeah. Anyway, yes, subscribe and follow, and make sure you like and share our videos so that way we can get on the algorithm. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful night. See you next week. Oh, and Loca's up next.
Let it drop. Let it drop.